Ladies and gentlemen, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's a beautiful morning of celebration. I want to reflect a little bit about how we each approach the world. How much of ourselves do we reveal? Sometimes we reveal, but sometimes we keep things hidden because we are perhaps afraid of how we might be received, or we present very differently in certain places than we do in other places. I want to take us back to the moment when God appeared to Moses and said to Moses, I am the Lord. However, Shmi Adonai, my name Yud He Vav He, I did not reveal to your ancestors. There's a name that I did not reveal to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Shmi Adonai lo nodati lahem. Now it's interesting because if you go back to those chapters, you see that our ancestors actually did call God by Yud He Vav He. So what could this possibly mean? The commentary in the Eitz Chaim Chumash that we just read, the Pshat commentary that deals with context, says that deities in ancient times all had different names, and some of them had multiple names. And to call on a god by a name meant to recognize a certain attribute of that god. So God is saying to Moses, there are parts of me that you're going to see and that the people are going to see that even the patriarchs and the matriarchs did not see. Now, what does this have to do with us? Well, we often are very careful about what we reveal to other people, about what names we use to introduce ourselves to other people. Metaphorically speaking, we don't always let other people fully call us by our name. We hold things back. We hold things back for a variety of reasons. We know that we present differently, we reveal differently given the circumstance. There is a famous sociologist and social psychologist by the name of Irving Goffman. And he studied how people present differently depending on the circumstance. So he spoke about a butler who speaks very differently when he's in the presence of the family that he's serving and conducts himself differently and has a different body language. And then how does he present to the people that he supervises? And how does he present to his family? If you saw the series Downton Abbey, you may remember Mr. Carson. Well, Mr. Carson was very responsive and very respectful and very much constrained when he was speaking to the family that he served. But when he went backstairs to the staff that he was supervising, he was quite different entirely. And then you saw him with Mrs. Hughes flirting in the way that only he could flirt and expressing his emotions, which were very difficult for him to express. So it's likely, if you think about it, that we all present differently depending on the circumstance. We present differently at work than we do at home. We present differently with friends than we do with people that we don't know so well. But I want to ask us, what if we think about it and we discover that the differences are so stark and so strong that it almost doesn't feel like we have a coherent whole that we're putting out there to the rest of the world. Maybe we get to a point where we're so accustomed, so habituated to hiding parts of ourselves that we even hide parts of ourselves unnecessarily with the people whom we love. When do we cross the boundary from appropriate modulation? You don't want to act the same way in a ball game that you act in a boardroom, to the kinds of self-censure that prevents us from being who we are in the world. There's a wonderful songwriter. Her name is Regina Spektor. I didn't really know her music very well until one of my sons introduced me to her. She came with her family from Russia when she was a child. She is Jewish. She attended day school. And she wrote some remarkable songs. You should listen to her song Samson, which is a form of midrash, I would say, about the story of Samson and Delilah. But that's not the song I want to talk about right now. She wrote a song called Better. And in that song, she imagines that the singer is singing to an unnamed individual who has been wounded. And she sings to that person, if I kiss you where it's sore, will you feel better? will you feel anything at all? Wondering if this person has been so constrained that that person can't even feel where it's sore. Will you feel anything at all? And then the singer addresses that same person with the following assertion: if you never say your name out loud to anyone, they can never, ever call you by it. It's very profound. And it takes us back to this morning's parasha. When God says there's a certain name that I don't use with everyone, or I didn't use with those people, I'm going to use it with you, it suggests that the name that we put out there is something that we choose very carefully indeed. And maybe we are afraid to say our name out loud because people might call us by it. We might be accountable to it. We might have to own who we are. And that can be terrifying at times. If we don't say our name out loud to anyone, if we refuse to put essential parts of ourselves out there, not just in professional circumstances, but maybe even in personal circumstances, we don't have to be held accountable. And yet, what are we missing by not putting ourselves out there? What are we missing by not putting the totality of ourselves out there, carefully perhaps, but with a sense of confidence? With everything going on, we may be feeling completed, depleted, not so completed. We may be feeling tired. We may be feeling angry. We may be feeling sad or hopeful or grateful or any combination of the above. In many ways, we are isolated from one another, which makes it harder and can make us feel more disconnected. And so I invite us to consider what it would mean to create greater coherence between the professional and the personal, greater coherence between who we are inside and what we let shine to the rest of the world. To put our name out there so that people can call us by it. To feel that we are nodaim, that we are known, and that is actually okay. Shabbat Shalom.